Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar Elm, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Caleb Owens, the founder of Ascend Travel Management, a corporate travel services firm that focuses on simplifying and optimizing employee travel for business owners and executives. Ascend offers a white glove, high touch concierge experience that reduces booking headaches, saves costs, and ensures seamless travel coordination across industries. Caleb brings deep insight into business travel logistics and operational efficiency, especially for entrepreneurs who value time and clarity. Caleb, welcome to Founders Future.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to this.
I'm excited to dive in. I always like to start from the beginning. So take us back, take us on a little trip down memory lane to before you started Ascend. What were you doing at the time? And then what was really the motivation behind starting the company?
Yeah, it's kind of like an evolutionary process. So what I was doing before is I was running another company and we could see, hey, there's some things that we could do here. We could actually expand and do more different things in the travel space like this. We didn't know exactly. Whenever we first started out, we were going in a totally different direction. And then it's been an evolutionary thing. As we were going along, we started finding out that, hey, as we're talking to customers and talking to people and seeing what they need, we're finding out that international business travel is where it's at. That's like what a lot of people are experiencing these problems. And what they're really demanding was this white glove experience. So all of this comes out of what the customer was asking for. It was never my idea. I'd love to claim credit for it, but it was talking to all these customers and them complaining like, hey, we need support. We need somebody that's going to be there whenever my flight gets canceled or delayed,
Yeah.
and we don't know how to get where we're going. There's a lot of problems right now in the US specific travel industry.
100%. It's actually super interesting. A lot of the people that I've been talking to the last week echo similar sentiments. They got the idea from something that a need that they saw in the market. It's not like you just randomly, all of a sudden you're in the shower, you think of this amazing, brilliant idea.
Right.
It's like you're listening to the market, you're listening to the needs and demands of your customers, and then you come up with a solution. But for you, where did those customers originally stem from? Is that from your previous or your current other company, Premier Insurance Housing, or is that from somewhere else?
Yeah, it did start from there. We started seeing, and when we originally started, we were, like I'm saying, going in a totally different direction. We were starting out, we were looking to handle for businesses. We were going to handle like mass travel for them. So whenever a company needs to move 60, 80 people and they need housing for them, they need to have everything set up for them, be that vehicles or anything else, that's what we're really looking at doing originally. But then it's kind of like I'm saying, like evolutionary process over time we just completely changed the course of the business. And that was from listening to other customers and what they really needed and what they're really asking for.
I'm super curious because to give the listeners more context, you have two businesses, right? So you've got
Yeah,
Premier,
that's correct.
I think you've got Ascend Travel Management. Let's briefly talk to us about Premier Insurance Housing. And really what I'm curious about is why not focus 100% on that business? Why start something else? But walk me through that.
Because I have ADHD and I can't stay focused too long. I don't know. I really kick myself for
Segue.
that. I don't know. Like I really try to stay focused on one business, but whenever something like this happens, because I've done this before in the past, you just have to go with it. The way I see it, like what really gets me going, I've learned is whenever there's a need, it's not so much the money. Obviously, money's there and it comes second nature, but I really like fulfilling a need. So whenever I see that there's a need in this industry and no one else is really satisfying that need, that's what I really like. And so that's what really started it. I really didn't want to do this. I was really like, I'm not going to do another business. I'm not going to do another business. And then sure enough, later I'm like, all right, all right, it's a
Yeah.
business. I'm doing this. Yeah.
Fair enough. So let's fast forward to give the listeners even more context into Ascend Travel Management. Who would you say is your ideal customer with that business? And then what are the different offers and services that you provide?
Yeah, sure. Our ideal customer is small to medium sized companies. So that's what we focus on. We're actually set up and geared towards business travel. So we'll go in there and handle anything that those customers need. everything from devising a travel plan for them so that the way they can keep their costs low, because that's another big thing is that costs can get out of control. What we really do and we specify in it is actually providing a full white glove experience for them. So that way we handle everything from A to Z. So that way whenever they set their travel up, we can book all their flights, their car rentals, hotels. We're even handling visa services as well. That's becoming, I'm sure this is a big deal right now, not just in the US, but worldwide. A lot of countries are cracking down and enforcing tighter visa controls. Even the EU countries are doing that a lot more now. And so that's becoming another service that we're offering. Another thing that we're offering is the chartered flights. So we're producing private and chartered flights for our customers as well. And we have 3 different tier levels. So like a base tier is just basically we just go in and just do the dirty work, just the booking the flights. That's it. And that's all we do on that tier. Next tier up, we provide a little bit more service. So we're actually tracking the travelers, helping to support them along the way. And then we have like our elite tier, which is pretty much everything from charter flights, private flights, full tracking, full invoice management, everything that they need along the way. So I really think that companies don't mind paying extra services, extra costs, as long as they're getting something for that. As long as they see, hey, I'm getting my travelers where they need to go. If they're not travelers to them, they're employees. And they have to get people where they need to go. And if not, it costs the company a lot more money than just a delayed flight. This can be a business deal done south because they didn't get somebody where they needed to go, or it could be more critical than that, especially with like medical industry. Literally, you could be talking about people that are dying or you're having delays in medical care because they cannot get people where they need to go. And that's something that we're experiencing a lot right now in the US with the disrupted travel system that we have.
Yeah. That's super interesting. I'm curious, what is the business model like in terms of, so you've got the 3 different tiers. How do you generate revenue? Like when somebody brings you on as a service provider,
Yep.
does a portion of what they're paying go towards the flights? Do they book? How does that work, if that makes sense?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we make money off of the service fees. So
Yeah.
the 3%, 10%, 15%. That's just straight across the board. And as far as the actual payment and everything like that, we have different options. Some of our customers prefer paying via credit card, especially in the US, it's very common. So they could just pay us via credit card and we can pay for everything like that. But what's becoming a lot more common, which I did not expect admittedly, is bank to bank or ACH transfers. So they actually prefer that over the credit card. And a lot of that comes down to just costs. It's especially when you're talking tens of thousands of dollars, it can get very expensive when you're paying for all that with your credit cards. Yeah, the ACH is practically free comparatively.
Yeah. I'm curious, the back end of running a business like this, do you have a lot of staff going in there and figuring all this stuff out to the specific clients, or how does that work in terms of the service delivery?
Yeah, sure. So not a whole lot of staff, a lot of automation. That's the biggest thing. We're trying to automate. We still want to have like when our customer face side is they're getting the best experience possible. They're getting that white glove experience. But on the back end, we can automate away. So we do. We automate as much as we possibly can. So a lot of the invoice management, most everything that we do can and is automated. And then it's just whenever they're having the problems, the disruptions, that's when you have those customer service there. I really think that's where a lot of companies have gone awry now with automation and AI, is that they've over relied on it. They've completely automated their company and they forgot about the customer. It's just, I don't know necessarily know if it was to screw the customer or they just thought that they could just automate everything and it was cheaper. But at the end of the day, the customer suffers, right? They're not there, they're not taken care of. And especially you see that a lot in the flight management. So whenever people are flying wherever they need to go and they're relying on an app. And you can yell at that app all you want, but it's not going to get you where you need to go.
Yeah, 100%, especially when you're dealing with business travel is different than just leisure of, okay, yeah, fine. If I have to wait a couple hours because my flight are delayed, it is what it is. But I'm going on vacation for 2 weeks, so it's not that deep. But with
Right.
businesses, I can see how it can be absolutely critical, especially if you have appointments, you have meetings. It sounds like you also fly out doctors. So that's huge
Yeah,
too. There's people literally relying on you for their lives. I'm
absolutely.
curious, what are you using currently for the automations? You use specific AI tools? Because there's a lot of business owners and founders that listen to this, and I'm always intrigued about what kind of tools people use.
Yeah, we use a host of different AI tools. So we use automations and then tied in with the AI tools as well. So I think it's actually three different AI tools right now. We don't just rely on one because each one has its pros and cons. There's some that are better at talking to people back and forth, kind of like ChatGPT is pretty good at that, I think. There's others that are better at researching. So if we're trying to research flight details and all kinds of different things like that, there's other AIs that are better at that. So yeah, we use different AIs for different things depending on what we're trying to do.
Any specific ones that you can mention? So I'm assuming you use ChatGPT for the conversations back and forth, and then
Yeah.
Perplexity for research, or
Yeah, actually you got it. That's exactly right. Yeah.
and then do you use stuff like make.com or N8N for automations, or is it Zapier? What does that look like?
No, you're absolutely right. We use make.com. We're looking at in the future, we want to build everything ourselves, have it all proprietary, but that's what we use right now.
Nice. So you want to build it yourself in terms of take it off those platforms.
Correct.
Wow,
Yeah.
very
Yeah. You got to get started though. I'm a big fan of the lean startup method. So
interesting.
don't go in there and completely reinvent the wheel when it's not necessary. So that's what we're looking at doing. Just going in there. At the end of the day, we're trying to provide a better product, better customer service. We're not necessarily looking at going in and completely revolutionizing anything. It's just those simple, small little touches that make a world of difference to the customer at the end of the day. We don't have to go in and make a brand new app that no one's ever heard of. It can be just the simplest thing, but just making their life better, making everything easier for them.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I wholeheartedly agree with that approach. When it comes to client acquisition, so essentially bringing in more leads for your services, what are you currently doing right now?
We use a variety of different methods. So we use LinkedIn, we use emailing, we use cold calling. I'm trying to think of anything else. We have done some mailing, actually, just
Oh,
mailing
really? Direct
letters.
mail.
Yeah, it's with limited success, admittedly. What I find works best is LinkedIn. I like LinkedIn a lot. I like talking to people on there. I can connect with people and I can talk with them. Usually I can do that a lot better than I can just about any other means. So that works out pretty good.
What does that approach look like? Is that sales navigator and then reaching out to specific people, or is it just thought leadership, making posts, all the above? Walk me through that.
I would say all the above. What I really focus on is Sales Navigator and going in doing DMs to people. It works a lot better if you can create a post that goes viral, something that gets a lot of attention.
Yeah,
That can be difficult to do though, admittedly. It's like hitting the lottery.
yeah,
Sometimes you can hit that just right and it just goes viral and a lot of people that you're trying to reach will click on that and like that. Actually making that happen though can be very difficult to do. A lot of times I've seen that. We have had that in the past where it did go viral, but it was the wrong audience. It's
mm,
like, great. I'm glad a bunch of teenage girls really like this, but not what I'm really trying to aim for. Just going for a different type of
yeah.
demographic.
Hopefully, their parents are entrepreneurs or something. They
Yeah,
can.
you never know. You never know. It can network. That's a networking
Yeah,
effect. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. One thing I always like to talk about on this podcast is the idea of building predictable lead flow and predictable lead gen in the business. So essentially, I always use this analogy of it's like a faucet where you can turn it on, turn it off. And I'm curious your perspective on what you're doing to build more predictability when it comes to the lead flow and what that currently looks like in your business, maybe for now or the future plans.
For what you just said, that can be very difficult to do. So turning it on, turning off like a faucet, because people don't work like that typically. They requires like it's a long sales cycle. And this all depends upon the person you're going after. And we're going after companies. So going B2B it's a long game typically. Sometimes you can hit it just right and you can just call that person up and it's just the right time of day, the right everything, the stars align, and they're pissed off with who they've been using in the past, and they're like, yeah, all right, screw it, we're going to switch everything over. That rarely happens in my experience. It's very rare. Most of the time, what you got to do is work You start a relationship with them, and you have to build that over the course of months, sometimes a year or more, before they're like, all right, we're going to go ahead and give you guys a shot. That's my experience.
Yeah.
It's nothing that, really is magical. You haven't done anything different. It's the
Yeah.
same thing you did, but you just did it over the course of months and a year or more. And then eventually that person's, hey, you know what? Yeah, I've talked to you for a long time now. I'm going to give you guys a shot. I'm going to work with you. And that's kind of like the secret, if there is any secret, is consistency and just continuously following up these people. At least in my experience, I've never had anything that I could purchase or any kind of company that I could work with that could do. They had some kind of secret formula that where we could just literally turn it on and turn it off, and it just works like magic.
Yeah.
That sounds great, but from my experience, it's a much longer game, and it's a relationship. You have to build that relationship with people to get them to trust you, to get them to give your company a shot.
Yeah, for sure. And it is very difficult to a certain extent to accomplish that predictability. I found that it typically falls into two buckets. It's either paid ads or cold outreach. Some sort of paid ads,
Okay.
some sort of cold outreach that's either automated or systematized, where it's consistent on a daily basis. Paid ads is very easy because, oh, I'll spend $50 a day, $100 a day, $1,000 a day, whatever.
Right.
And that's like a faucet where you can turn it on and off. With the cold outreach, it's I'll reach out to 100 people a day, or I'll reach out to 50 people a day. So I'm curious, of the two, have you thought about ever running paid ads to something like this?
I have. I've done paid ads. I've done paid ads a lot. I've spent a lot of money on paid ads, and I did it for over a year, where I put in quite a bit of money every single month. And I was always told that you have to do this for an extended period of time. So I did this for over a year. And to be honest, like my ROI on that was very low. It was like we're getting some success, admittedly, but I like the cold outreach methods. And like again, I'm saying again, it's even if you do get that person, you do get to talk to them, you have to treat it like a relationship. You cannot just go and just be like, hey, I'm whoever, and please buy my product. Who the hell are you? And I don't know anything about you. So they have to learn to trust you. And that takes time to build that up to where eventually you can say, hey, I've been talking to you now for 6 months and ready to go ahead and give us a shot. And that usually comes from them. If you're doing everything right, you don't even have to ask. They're and they're just ready to go with them. The big secret, if there is anything, is finding those right kind of people. It's kind of like finding that needle in a haystack where you're searching for that right person or that right type of company that's ready to switch. They've been frustrated for whatever reason, and they're looking to switch, and getting a hold of them and start talking to them. That's the real secret sauce.
For sure. Have you ever heard of Clay?
I'm not. Is it
I
clay.com?
Clay.com. Yeah, I highly recommend you check them out. So it's essentially, have you ever heard of Apollo?
Yeah, we work with
Okay.
Apollo. Yeah.
Okay,
They're
so
really
sorry, go for it.
no, tell me more. I was just saying we work with them.
Clay is like an Apollo, but it's also a sales navigator, and it has AI imbued into it in the sense of, let's say, if you were to look at all the past clients of Ascend Travel Management and you were to say, okay, they fit this bucket, because obviously LinkedIn, you can filter by headcount, you can filter by employee or by company size, you can filter by a lot of different things. But you could also add more filters using AI to research that company and scrape the web and then find certain buying signals, they call it on the platform, and then create a list that includes those buying signals to find those needles in the haystack that Sales
Okay.
Navigator doesn't really give you, and
Apollo
Apollo doesn't
doesn't
really
really
give.
either.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
150 bucks a month. It's super
Yeah.
cool. And I think it's actually free to start. I would highly recommend you check that out. I think that could be a very powerful tool for your business.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, anything like that. So a tool like that is not going to make your business. It's
No.
a tool, and you have to go in there and utilize that tool, start those conversations, build those relationships. But having something like that can be really powerful.
Yeah, I love that you said that because it isn't a magic wand that you wave and all of a sudden boom, leads are flowing in. It's like the first principles are the same, and I'm a big fan of the theory of constraints. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
No, tell me about that.
The
Yeah.
theory of constraints is essentially that it's a management philosophy where at any point in a business, there's one constraint that is the biggest bottleneck in that company. And the problem that the majority of founders, when I was learning, this is how they explained it. The problem with the majority of founders is that they don't even know what their constraints are. So that's a problem. B, they're working on the wrong constraint. So leads could be the biggest constraint, but maybe fulfillment is also a constraint. But it's not as big of a constraint as leads. So let me focus on leads.
Right.
So B is they're working on the wrong constraint. C is they're trying to fix all constraints at once. So the theory of constraints essentially says, let me find the biggest bottleneck in the business currently, focus all my time and effort to fixing that bottleneck, and then moving on to the next bottleneck. And then
Right.
if we were to think of like a conveyor belt that the leads go through, every time there's a constraint, there's friction in the conveyor belt. So I can't move as many people through my business.
Right.
I fix it, I fix that part of the conveyor belt, and then everything becomes a little bit more smooth, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and you'd be kind of like generating a lot of leads. Like, for example, if you generate you're generating 50 to 100 leads, but then your churn rate, you're just losing all these customers because your sales side is just horrible. You're not doing a great job on closing. And that can be one of those constraints, exactly like you're talking about there. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think you have to know where your constraints are. And I've been guilty of that myself, especially whenever you have a small business and you've got 50 different fires and you're like, I've got all these different things going on. And if you were to try to solve everything at the same time, you get nothing done because there's just too many things going on. So you really have to try to find out, like, all right, what is the most important thing? And let me fix that one thing. And then just like that Kaizen method, just 1% better. I'm just going to focus on that one thing, fix that one thing. And it may take me weeks or months to get it fixed. Once I do that, then I move to the next. And eventually you have a business that's successful and profitable. That's a goal.
Yeah, I like that. If you could talk to new entrepreneurs and give them a piece of advice that you wish you knew when you were first starting off.
Okay.
You know it now, but you didn't know it back then when you were first starting as an entrepreneur. I know that's a little question, so me talking right now is giving you time to think. But if you were
I'm trying to think of one thing. There's a lot of things, admittedly. I think a lot of people I think they never actually launch or they never do it. When I say do it, I just mean they get in a theoretical debate too long and they never actually move ahead and just launch the business. They are trying to perfect everything, trying to think of all the different things that can happen or go wrong. From my experience, you just have to jump out there and let things be wrong when they're wrong because there's so many different things that you don't know. That's been my learning experience. Maybe there's other people that have done it better and they walk into a business and never have a problem. That's never been me. I've had a lot of problems. I've gone in there and dive into a business and learn as we go. So as we're building and everything, we find problems. We find things we never even knew that was a problem or didn't even understand how this worked. And as the business is going, we figure that out and then we adapt to that and keep growing. I think a lot of people never even get to that stage. They are too afraid. They have a great business idea, a great concept, but they're afraid of competition. They're afraid of too many different things. And they never just go out and dive out there and try it out. Because if you don't do that, what is this? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You're always going to fail in that sense.
1,000%. And I think you learn so much more by going out there and talking to real people as opposed to theorizing and trying to strategize every single little thing when if you just follow what you just said, just go out there and do it, you'll probably learn more in a month than you could have of 6 months of just thinking about it in your head.
Sometimes it can be very painful learning. Sometimes I'm admitting that it's at times been very painful. Wow, as long as you can survive it, then it was a lesson. Then you're failing forward. As long as you can survive that as a business, then you're on the right track. You're moving forward. You have to try to keep that in mind. As painful as some of these lessons have been for me, it's wait a minute. I still have a business. I'm still in business, and I learned a very powerful lesson. Sometimes it costs you quite a bit of money, and then you just keep growing from there.
Yeah, I love that. What is the best way for people to reach out to you?
I'm on LinkedIn. I would probably say LinkedIn. I've got email, I've got everything else, but probably LinkedIn is a great way to connect with me.
Awesome. So we'll make sure to tag Caleb, and that way you guys can easily reach his LinkedIn and get some travel services.
Yeah, perfect.
I appreciate you. Anything else you want to leave us off with before I let you go?
No, I had a lot of fun and looking forward to starting new conversations in the future.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. So that wraps up another insightful episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you're a business owner and you're looking to scale your business and really enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to discover how we can support your growth journey. Until then, keep on climbing.